Good morning, everyone. Welcome to what is a very, well, it's actually not that chilly here this morning in Brisbane, Australia. It's around about 16 degrees, so I guess it's all relative, isn't it? I mean, depending on where you live in the world, probably 16 is a very, very balmy summer's day, but here in Australia, in Queensland at least, it's a crisp morning, and in fact, I've even got a shot to show you. Look at that, picturesque blue skies, not a cloud to be seen, and it really is a gorgeous day. I hope it is a gorgeous day wherever you are. Be sure to say hello in the chat section. We've got people jumping into the chat already, as you can see. Good morning to all of my regulars, to Karen and Bartek and Laura. Nice to see you all. And of course, in our discussion today, we are going to be answering your questions. I had actually organised, I'd spent, a good part of half an hour preparing to do a song review for one of our regular subscribers, a guy by the name of Sam Kim. And Sam, if you get a chance to watch this, I had prepped up your video ready to watch, and then I just quickly jumped onto YouTube to double check the song that you've sent me to review, called When We Were Young, the Adele piece, and it is on the do not use list, Sam, so I'm afraid we're unable to do that. Nonetheless, what I will do is I was going to talk about phrasing, so we'll talk a little bit about that to get ourselves kicked off this morning. And then we'll jump into us answering people's questions. So if you have a question, if you're in the live chat right now, be sure to leave your questions in the chat section, and we will answer your questions. I'm doing this at the very beginning of my day. It's just turning 9 a.m. here in Brisbane, Australia, and I am racked and stacked this week. I've got a really busy couple of weeks, and so I may this may be the last live hangout that I'm able to do for the next couple of weeks. Certainly next, because in about 3 weeks I'll be in Sweden at the International Congress for Voice Teachers, ICVT, and at which I'll be presenting a couple of papers and connecting with a whole range of international pedagogues from all over the world, which is very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, I'll do a bit of a report when I get back from that, and let you all know, what is the new stuff, what is the stuff that the voice research scientists are diving into, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But before further ado, let's dive into today's live hangout.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
So don't forget to let us know where you're from. Don't forget to let us know what is the weather like. And I know this sort of sounds like really mundane stuff, but it does help us to build the community here at Voice Essentials for you all to know where we are all from. We are a global community at Voice Essentials, and we all bring different stories, different journeys, and hopefully you will, as you know, as I chat away here and we answer your questions, hopefully you're all getting to know each other, and certainly many of your names are familiar to me, and I know many of your names are familiar to each other. So as I said, let each other know where you're from. And look, if you are not watching this live, if you're watching this after the live footage has finished, then we welcome you. We want you to know that even though you can't join us live, your questions are still valued, and where possible I do try to answer questions after the show has been recorded. And don't forget to check out the YouTube channel for those of you who are searching for answers about your voice and what have you. On my channel there's over 250 Learn to Sing videos covering so many different topics, and the topic list just continues to grow. We release new videos every week, and this week we'll be doing a new video. Now what's it called? 5 Habits of Highly Successful Singers. I know you'll all get something out of that. Now that goes live on Thursdays at 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and so for many of you that's during your Wednesday evening, and I hope you'll enjoy that one. So let's talk about phrasing. As I said, Sam, I'm so sorry I cannot show your video because Adele's team has obviously silenced that use, and I would get into trouble if I used it from a copyright point of view. So the thing I was going to talk to when I was going to play your video, Sam, was I was going to be talking about phrasing. And Sam's video very much, the vocals, and Sam's a beginner, he's obviously just starting out, and his vocals were very flowy. A friend of mine, Kim Chandler, said to me once, I've never forgotten it because it was such a really great way to say it. Kim is an internationally respected singing teacher in the UK, and I hope to catch up with her at ICVT in Sweden. Kim said to me, this was going back nearly 20 years, so it's a long time ago. Kim said, you know, the thing that separates professionals from amateurs is phrasing. And you know what? I actually think that's quite accurate. And it's certainly, if it's not the only one, it's definitely in the top 3. And the reason for that is because phrasing is what brings the lyric to the fore. It's what differentiates the style. And Sam, when you were singing through your lyrics, there was this really flowy, you know, elongated line to your phrasing, and that's not really in keeping with that, with certainly this particular genre of sort of pop ballad kind of material, where the phrasing has you know, intentionally got some, it's cut up, and it's not just this long flowy line. There are moments where the lyric actually cuts, and there are spaces, and instead of elongating the end of a phrase, it's actually purposefully cut off. And so I've got a whole video dedicated to this subject. I've put it in the description section below. You know, it's one of those videos. One day I should put together a list of all of my best videos that have not been watched by many people, because it's one of those subjects I think that few beginner singers realize how important it is, and yet it is so important for you to develop. And there are some great exercises on that video. It's a very practically focused video, so jump in, have a look at the description section below. I'll put now where will the link go? I think the link, if I put a little thing up there afterwards, I'll get a link on the screen as well for you. The other thing I was going to draw your attention to, let me just jump over here. In fact, I might use this one. No, I'll use Sorry everyone, I'm jumping over to here. The other thing I was going to draw your attention to, Sam, was that, and I do apologise everyone that I can't use the video and show Sam's video. For those of you who are interested, I often get asked here on the channel, can you review my song? And I just have a policy that people can purchase the reviews, so you can pay money for me to review your song, but I don't do them for free. You have to understand, you know, even with a channel, you know, which is not a large channel, we've just gone over 17,000 subscribers, and hey, just to let you know, thank you very much. We've recently just gone over 1 million views, and that was only about a week or so ago. We're already up to 1,030,000 views, which is just crazy. So thank you everyone for watching. Each view that you jump in on contributes to that, and it's, as I said, it's so exciting to be developing such a warm, encouraging group here on the channel. But anyway, what was I saying? Because I just get that many comments and what have you, and I do try to respond to as many as I possibly can. I know I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty close to responding to everyone. But if I did reviews, you just have to trust me. I just physically don't have the time. And when I say to you, I think some people are not convinced that it's actually only me doing this. You know, I still get messages saying, oh, can your team have a look at this? And I'm going, what team? I don't have a team. It's just me. And so I don't do reviews. But if you do want to get a free review, the way to get the free review is to send me video. You can just start off by emailing me. Just email me at singing@djarts.com.au. Email me and I can send you some instructions, some release forms that you need to sign. And then we also, fortunately, I did double check again this morning to check that video was on full release, to be able to not have any copyright strikes. Unfortunately, in this case, it didn't have copyright allowances, and so, but generally songs are available for us to do, to use, and we will review them live here on the live Hangout so that everyone gets the full benefit of that. So if you feel you want to do that, of course you're putting yourself out there, and that's one of the challenges. If anything, that's the cost to you to participate in the live reviews. But anyway, so the other thing that I noticed about Sam's performance was when he was performing. In fact, he performed not looking at the camera. He obviously didn't feel comfortable. That's okay. So when he was performing, his hands didn't really know what to do. Again, I think this was partly driven by really there wasn't a lot of connection to the lyric. In many respects, there was this Sam's challenge was he was more concerned about singing the right lyric and singing the right melody. And that is, I think, where most of us start, but it's not where we need to finish. And so because there was no sense of what the lyric was actually saying, the hands were kind of doing this and not really connected. Now, one way to get around that, and in fact, if you watch the video on YouTube of Adele doing this song, and she's actually doing it live, I think it's called Live in the Chapel or something. It's actually a live rendition of it. Nothing's live these days, people, but it's like an acoustic presentation of it. She's actually on a mic stand. One of the great things about working with a mic stand is that I'm just trying to get the level right so you can see my face, is that what it does is it centers you. And even Adele, the fabulous Adele, who can stand in the middle of a stadium of 60, 70,000 people, is still recognizes that in a intimate setting particularly, how beneficial and how centered a mic stand can make you. And even now, as you're watching me, I wonder whether you can see, if I remove the mic stand, I put it over there, I'm less given to remaining solid. I feel like I want to move a bit. The moment I bring the mic stand in front of me, I'm far more centered. And I'll often, with beginner students, when they're having their first performance or what have you, I'll often stand a mic stand right in front of them, because what it does is it centers you and it keeps you nice and focused and grounded. It then does give you something for your hands to do. Not that I'm overly keen for your hands to do something that they're not motivated to do by the lyric, but nonetheless, again, it centers the performance and it grounds the performance. It gives a singular focus to your audience, and you may be surprised when you get the feedback as to how professional it looks. To a certain extent, you've got to fake it to make it. You know, you may not feel professional, you may not feel grounded, you may feel like you're, you know, all over the shop. But if you are actually just centered, and then, you know, there you can take the mic off, you can stand to the side and bring the mic back. But again, even when I move across, notice how I can hold my hand there and my hand just continues to remain, keeps me grounded. This becomes this sort of pillar of strength in my performance that I can then just go back to. And you'll notice that this particular mic stand, if I come back, is just a straight up and down mic stand. Let me just put this over here. Oh, I'm trying to get it into the shot. If I bring my other mic over, now this is the typical mic stand that you're going to find. So see how it's got the difference in the base? So this is the typical mic stand that you're going to find in most shows. And what happens is singers are often tempted to sort of come up like this and have the mic stand so it sort of stands upright like that. Now that gives you the same sort of shape, yeah, but it actually looks a bit weird. So if you are on a boom, this is called a boom stand, then make sure you shape it so that you're actually got a little bit more shape to it, and it gives you a little bit more expanse actually than just the straight up and down. Where possible, as a singer, where possible, and it's often, I recommend actually singers buying your own mic stand and mic where possible. I think it's important that we as singers own our own gear, and a mic stand is certainly one thing that you can do with that. Of course, if you're on a guitar, then a boom stand is absolutely essential. You can't be on an instrument on that because, as you can see, the instrument's going to sort of butt up against it. So I'm talking about just solo vocal, but if you are on an instrument, then a boom stand is an absolute must. I guess what we're highlighting today is how different the mic stands will work for you visually. Remember, your audience is making a decision about you visually before they've made a decision about you orally. So what you step up onto stage to do determines, you know, what your voice is, how it's going to be perceived. And it's so important how a person's psyche, how the audience, how they frame you can make a big difference to the ensuing performance. You don't want to sort of have people go, oh, I don't know about this person, and then you've kind of got to play catch up and win them over. Certainly in a performance setting, you want to be able to work with them work in such a way that you're starting from a really positive place where people go, oh, gee, this person really looks like they know what they're doing. So hopefully that's helpful. Sam, again, I'm sorry that we can't use your actual performance, but hopefully that is helpful if you are watching back. Let's jump over now and have a look at our performances, our questions, and hopefully we can see there's some good discussion going on here already. Good morning to everyone. Bartek's been on holidays. Welcome back, Bartek, after your holidays. Good to hear that I hope you've had a good time. And Karen from Singwise, it's hot and humid over there, is it, Karen? Well, I hope have you guys got air conditioning? Air conditioning's a big thing here in Queensland. If we don't, you know, you kind of got to get the temperature down during summer. Laura, let's throw over to Laura. She has the first question of the day. Remembering that we are answering your questions today. We're not going to go for long today because I've really got to get into my week, massive week of teaching ahead, and which is why I've sort of jumped into it first thing this morning. Laura says, is eating diary? I don't think you should be eating your diary, Laura. Let's just suggest that I think Laura means eating dairy before a performance. Really that bad for your vocal performance, even if I eat in advance, for example, 3 hours pre-performance. Okay, so let's just quell the thing about dairy. So we've spoken briefly here before about dairy. Actually, the latest research suggests that, in fact, when they looked at the mucosal lining, that is the jelly sort of substance that coats your vocal tract, there was no difference, no perceivable difference in the content and the makeup of that mucosa to those who had dairy and those who didn't have dairy. So I want to make sure you're up to date with the latest research. Now, that being said, there is no question, anecdotally, that some people feel really cloggy and claggy and gluggy after they've had dairy. And certainly at a perceptual level, they perceive that, and I'm one of them, if I have dairy, I feel heavy and gluggy and what have you. So I don't know how the research lines up with what I think singers have been saying for eons about dairy. Now, that all being said, it is really important, Laura, that you understand, certainly I would never want to be heard suggesting that you should not have dairy in your diet. Dairy is a valued aspect of, to my knowledge, most nutritionists' recommendation for a whole range of reasons. And so I would be encouraging you, of course I am not a nutritionist, and so it's really important that, that you seek out nutritional advice from people qualified to provide it. But as far as your singing goes, if you feel that dairy does have an impact on your voice, if you feel gluggy and cluggy before you sing, when you've had dairy in going in to sing, then my recommendation is try to avoid it 3 to 6 hours before you sing. And I'm talking from a performance state, because obviously if you're practicing every day, then that would suggest, okay, well, I can't have dairy. But if you were to have dairy in the morning and then you sang in the afternoon, I think you'd be fine. I certainly don't want you to walk away thinking that singers should, eliminate dairy products from their diet, because I don't believe that that would be wise. But again, I would direct you to a nutritionist for full value and a dietitian for full value around that. Do some experiments. I have over the years met many singers, many excellent singers, who can drink a full, large, thick shake and have it feel no effect. Whereas I've met many singers like myself who do really feel an effect from that. Play around with it with your own body and see how you go with that. Good question to get us started, Laura. Coming down here. Hang is practicing his singing right now, or he or she, we don't know what gender you are. Hang, I hope you're enjoying your practice. Some people told me I need better breath engagement. What is breath engagement and how do I work on it? Ali, I would think that when people talk about breath engagement, they're probably suggesting that they feel that you need more abdominal support. Of course, I'm a great believer in having abdominal with oblique activity, so that there is a sense that your abdominals are like firm jelly, and your obliques is where the sense of structure comes from. Just to remind everyone that I very much approach my breath management as a combining of what was very big during the 20th century, which is Appoggio, and combining that with the new ideas and thoughts around accent breath method. And so that's certainly how I approach breath management, and I feel that that's really the best for contemporary singing. Contemporary singing does require that ability to constantly monitor and regulate the sense of air pressure sitting directly below the larynx, empowering the larynx to be free and agile to produce tone and registration shift and all of those things in a manner that is not also weighed down with it having to valve and hold pressure back. And so that's certainly, again, you can jump across onto the channel and have a look for some videos about that if you like. Hello, Squeak. Hello. For those, that's an inside joke, everyone. For those of you who don't know, my nickname during high school was Squeak, that's I do appreciate it. That's funny. Okay, coming down, how to have a stabler and more powerful voice. I would be thinking that it all comes down to breath flow and having good sense of management to that. But good breath flow is also connected to having a good sense of muscular engagement, that the larynx isn't, given to wanting to brace and contract. And we recently did a video about, go looking for the video that talks about singing. Singing can be easier. It's one of the more recent videos, and it talks about releasing and reducing that sense of contraction of the pharyngeal musculature, and I think you'll find that helpful. Martha Lang, hello from Yellowstone National Park. Hello, welcome to Voice Essentials. I don't know whether I've recognized your name, but it's good to have you join in with us. And a music lover for all of you. I mean, from California, I'm completely. Are you music lover? You're the third blind person that I interact with vocally. I've actually got two blind students, one who I'll see this morning, and it's certainly you are very welcome here. And I love working with people who have had the loss of their sight, whether it be from birth or otherwise, and see them really embrace the other senses. So good on you, music lover. Thanks for sharing that. It's good to know you a bit better. Okay, Bartek, while doing 5-note scale on the vowel oo, is it oo, I think, when I'm on high note, should I try to prevent my larynx from rising and keep it neutral or not? Bartek, I am a great believer in the larynx. It does need to be able to move. I don't feel like we should get it into this fixed neutral position, this level, speech level position, and with the idea that we hold it there and we keep it there. The larynx does need to move. Go looking on the channel, Bartek, and look at the video about singing with a neutral larynx, and I think that'll answer your question far more directly. I hope, just to explain to you, I'm often directing you all to go and have a look at videos on the channel. It's not simply to get more views. It's to get you. We can't unpack these ideas in a lot of depth, because I do like to get through to your questions. But at least I can direct you to where I've actually deep dived into these subjects, and you can go and have a look for yourself and watch these videos and learn a little bit more. Compulsive Rambler is in the UK. It's hot midnight right now. What register does Kate Bush use throughout the song Wuthering Heights? It sounds disconnected, like a falsetto compared to some of the others. I would have to jump over and remind myself, Compulsive Gambler, of the registration in Wuthering Heights. Perhaps we've got someone else here that can jump on, and if Karen from Singwise is here, Karen can help us out. She would need to jump over and have a quick look, but I'm not sure. Compulsive, yeah, I can't help you right now, I'm afraid. Dr. Dan, can you, this is from Linda. Linda is one of my online students. She's from Tasmania, Australia, and love lessons with Linda. And for those of you who are interested, I do teach voice online. If you're looking for some singing lessons, I would love to join you and join your journey and help you develop in your vocals, and we're doing that with Linda. Dr. Dan, can you please explain fold back and wet dry monitors? Ooh, that's cool. I can't hear myself in band rehearsals, and I think it contributes to me overdriving the voice and getting hoarse. Linda, I can. Fold back, for those of you who don't know what fold back is often also referred to as monitors, so floor monitors. And we talked a few weeks back about in-ear monitors. And basically, when we have a vocal system like a PA, what will happen is you'll have the front of house that the audience is hearing. But then what we also do is, because generally sound travels like light, so when we're standing behind that light, that sound, and the sound is projected outwards, so if we're like this and the sound is going that way, and they're the speakers, right? But if I'm behind that, then I'm behind the trajectory, the direction of that sound. So I actually need another lot of speakers so that I can hear the sound clearly. And those speakers traditionally would sit on the floor directly in front of the singer, behind the line of the front of house, and they're called fold-back wedges or monitors. And in more recent times, we then have in-ear monitors, which is exactly the same thing, just smaller and directly in the ear. Now, in the case of whether they're wet or dry, a dry monitor is where there is absolutely no reverb or effects coming through. It is purely a dry vocal mix. And when I first started singing, I used to think it was really professional, and you were super vocal if you could sing, and if you always required a dry vocal, because it helped you somehow to really hear your own voice with clarity. I know where possible, I try not to sing any longer with a dry mix. I always try to sing with what's referred to, and Linda's talked about it here, as a wet monitor mix, and that is, I want some reverb, I want some effect in my monitor. The smaller the system, the more chance that is going to be exactly the same effect that is coming through the front of house that your audience is hearing. In the bigger systems, you can often have a completely different reverb, a completely different vocal effect coming through the monitor than that which is going through the front of house. And it all depends on the size of the equipment and the size of the rig. Personally, I always ask for the monitors to be wet. Not wet to the point that you're drowning in your own reverb, but certainly wet enough to just enhance the vocal, and it just helps you to not have to work as hard. And I find that really, really helpful. As far as I can't hear myself in band rehearsals, and I think it contributes to me overdriving the voice, certainly that may well be the case, Linda. And I would be recommending to you, if you are struggling to hear yourself, it may well be because if you are working with a monitor mix in rehearsals, which I do encourage you to do if that's possible. And there are sometimes where I actually take my own monitor system along to, I've done gigs where I'm, with a big jazz ensemble, or I did some work with a funk band once, and it was just really loud. So I would take, just like the drummer brings his entire kit, and the bass rig and all those things, the singer, would bring along basically my own fold-back rig. And I often worked with an in-ear monitor process there to just help me so I didn't overdrive my voice during rehearsals. And I think you'll find that if you can do that. Now, what you might want to do is also tweak the high mids. Often on the smaller rigs it'll just be mid, so on your EQ it'll have low, mid and high, and if you can, just tweak the mids around about the 2.8 to 3 kilohertz, because what it'll do, it'll actually just peak the voice out and allow you to actually zone in on your own voice a little bit better. The voice will have better cut through, and it'll just help you to sit back a little bit, not sit back in placement, but sit back in yourself and not feel like you've got to overly drive the voice. Coming back over here, Linda, I hope that's helped. We can clarify anything further about that during our next lesson. Hello from Belarus. Minsk, here is deep night summer not even started yet. Good to have you join us from Belarus. I think that'd be the first time we've had someone join us from Belarus, so welcome. Jumping down, Linda's said here, unless I'm also playing the car, I don't like using a mic stand. I feel limited in movement. It feels as though it's an obstacle between me and the audience. It looks cool when you use a mic stand, but maybe I'm just not cool. Oh, Linda, you're cool. We all think you're cool. Linda, I'd encourage you to play around with it, explore what you can do with it. And whenever I do a performance, in fact, you can jump over, and again, on the channel, there is an entire concert. Go looking for Dr. Dan in concert. I think it might even be Daniel K in concert. And you'll see me, in some songs, I'm using a mic stand. When I'm really looking for that intimate centering, where I'm really trying to draw the audience in, specifically. And then there are other times where I want to be far more expansive, and the mic stand is going to be too centered. And so I'll take the mic off, put the mic stand aside. So you might want to go and have a look, for those of you who are interested in seeing how to work with the difference between the two. Is eating... so Laura, I think I answered your question up there a little bit earlier. Kevin, nice to have you join us. With regards to your comments on dairy, this advice would also apply to carbonated drinks, coffee and juices, wouldn't it? Carbonated drinks we tend to try to avoid because of carbonation can heighten reflux. For the same for the acidity of coffee and juices. So they're all sort of reflux. They all tend to be trigger reflux. Of course, some of you don't struggle with reflux, and it's not a big deal. Again, it comes down to you learning the individuality of your own bodies, and some of this is some experimentation on your behalf, and understanding, as we do here on the channel. Remember that all of the information I provide on the channel is purposefully rather generalized. Never, ever, please never forget that YouTube can only provide you with generalized information. It is only when you are directly with me or with another singing teacher or with a laryngologist or a speech therapist that you can obtain direct information specifically for you. And so always remember that. Probably goes without saying, but good to be able to say that. Okay. Fabian, I have a little bit of a problem with the passaggio. Would you suggest to bridge early or later? My recommendation, Fabian, is you bridge when the lyric tells you to bridge. What are you artistically trying to say? There's no... In contemporary voice is not a set of rules, in the sense that we do have physic rules in life. There are things that your voice will be given to doing anatomically. But ultimately, what we're wanting to do as the singer, we are wanting to serve the narrative. And so if you feel artistically, as the artist, in delivering and communicating the narrative, then if you feel the song needs you to navigate a transition earlier rather than later to service the narrative, then transition earlier. If, however, you feel, no, actually, I want to actually maintain a short and a dominant, you know, for those of you who are working with the language of M1, M2, if you want to maintain an M1 positioning, then do so. You know, learn to maintain the position of that transition later. It all comes back. For those of you who watch me regularly, you know I'm often bringing us back to what is the narrative asking you to do. Don't feel that it's got to be just what the voice does. The moment you are orientated to only doing what your voice can do, then you are limited in your capacity to communicate the lyric and the narrative. So always develop your voice to better serve the lyric, not the other way around. Okay. Coming down here, just going to get rid of this comment here, everyone. Remove. Because we don't need to be answering that kind of question. Okay, hello, is learning to sing hard? George, learning to sing is fun, it's rewarding. Anything worth doing is challenging, typically, and depending on your anatomy and your life experiences, for some people it can be more challenging than others. Everyone has areas of challenge when it comes to singing, and so there will be certain aspects of your development that will be hard, but that should not cause you to shy away from your development as a singer. It should challenge you and encourage you to go, okay, there is going to be a great sense of reward when I achieve those goals that were harder than others. So dive in, get involved, George. Just enjoy the journey. You know, we've spoken sometimes here on the channel about the fact that, do you know what, some people are really, if they can't excel at something, why participate? Well, that's not what good singing is about, you know, and we speak many times here on the channel the fact that, you know, in Western culture we've developed this thing of, we have the singers and the non-singers, and I don't subscribe to that view here at Voice Essentials. Everyone sings. It's the human birthright of everyone to sing who wants to. And George, if you want to sing, don't let the challenges that may come persuade you otherwise. Just get in there, enjoy it, enjoy the physical sensation of your singing, and start to develop. And we all here at Voice Essentials, I know all of our subscribers here would really love to encourage you, and I know that they will. And if you can join in, and we do these live hangouts at least once a week, and generally on a Monday or a Tuesday. Today is a lot earlier than usual, but nonetheless, we would love for you to join us. And if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button, then you'll always receive notification that I am going live. I'm going to give one more question because I've just had a look at the time and I'm going, whoa, where did that time go? I've got a full slate of students that I've got to start getting into. Let's go to Tari here. One last thing here for Tari. I can vocalize from A2 to A sharp 5, but my voice is raspy between E4 and A4, which would suggest to me that that's around, Tari, that's around about your transitional space, and that would probably come down to the balance of air to muscle. And people often use the word raspy in a very generic way. Raspy can mean a whole range of things. And so I'd be encouraging you to do some work on air to muscle balance. Go looking on the channel for videos about registration and developing your registration transitions. So that you can start to move more freely and get the voice moving more freely. Lip bubbles are a great thing to do with that, work on that area, and also NGs. In fact, last week's video about twang can be really helpful. We didn't really talk about registration transitions in that video, but nonetheless, the NG activities can be helpful in you doing that. Well, there we go, everyone. Thanks for you all joining in and joining me for another live hangout. I always look forward to joining with you. And of course, if this is your first time you've ever joined with us here on Voice Essentials, I would love for you to subscribe and join what is a ever-growing community of encouraging singers from across the globe who, just like you, want to raise your voice in song. And I want to be a part of that journey and encourage you along the process. But until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.